Let's call her Heather. She's 40, a marketing professional in Tacoma, Washington, who'd spent 15 years building a life with her husband, Lucas, a renovated craftsman home. A daughter named Emma dreams of a shared empire. But those years were filled with quiet sacrifices. Heather had dimmed her light to let Lucas shine, stepping back from her own career to support his rise in construction management. "You're a burden now," Lucas sneered, standing in their kitchen, his phone displaying their joint account balance. $1. Down from 27 minutes earlier. He drained their savings, their safety net, their future, with a few taps. "I've been carrying you for too long." "Heather," he said coldly, "it's time you learned to stand on your own." She'd just been laid off from her marketing job, and this was his response. The knife she'd been using to chop onions trembled in her hand. She set it down carefully, masking the storm inside. "I see," she said, her voice hollow. Lucas didn't know about her grandmother's inheritance, the secret account she'd built for years. He didn't know his betrayal had just set her resurrection in motion. 15 years earlier, Heather had been a rising star at Meridian Marketing, securing major clients, earning praise as one to watch. At a networking event, she met Lucas. Tall, confident, with plans to revolutionize construction management. Their whirlwind romance felt like destiny. "We're going to build something amazing together," he promised on their third date, sketching plans on a coffee shop napkin. She believed him. They supported each other equally. She crafted his business proposals. He cheered her creative campaigns. Their small wedding was a toast to equal partners, to building our empire together, Lucas had said, raising his glass. But empires often have one ruler. 3 years into their marriage, Heather was offered a creative director position in Seattle. More money, more responsibility, her dream role. That same day, Lucas learned his business loan was rejected. "It's a construction management position here, not Seattle," he said, his voice heavy. The silence held unspoken expectations. "Seattle can wait." Heather heard herself say, "Your career needs this chance." She rejected the offer, convincing herself it was temporary. Her boss was disappointed. "Opportunities like these don't come around often," she warned. "Family comes first," Heather replied, her confidence hollow. Lucas thrived at Davidson Builders, his salary growing, his network expanding. Heather took a lateral role at a smaller agency, her dreams fading into the background. "It's just for now," she told herself, helping Lucas with presentations, researching trends, editing reports. When Emma arrived 3 years later, Heather shifted to part-time work, justifying her compromises. "You're so lucky you don't have the pressure I do," Lucas would say, loosening his tie. "Just a simple job, home by 5, no major responsibilities." Each comment was a tiny cut. Her simple job brought in a third of their income. Her no responsibilities included managing their domestic life. Emma's education, their social calendar, Lucas's dry cleaning. The warning signs were there. Lucas called her paycheck spending money, made financial decisions without her, minimized her role at social events. "Heather keeps the lights on at some local businesses," he'd laugh. "It keeps her busy, out of loyalty. Or perhaps fear." She smiled and nodded. "You work so hard." "Honey, we appreciate it." The day before her layoff, Lucas celebrated his biggest promotion. Regional Director of Operations. "We did it, babe," he said, lifting her off her feet. All those sacrifices were worth it. She didn't ask whose sacrifices. The next morning, at no, HR called her into a conference room. Her position was eliminated. 15 years reduced to a manila envelope. Within 30 minutes, she was in the parking lot with a box, a family photo, a coffee mug, a plant from Emma. She called Lucas, straight to voicemail. "Something's happened at work," she said, keeping her voice steady. Driving home, she felt a flicker of hope. With Lucas's promotion, they had breathing room. Maybe she could start fresh, launch her own agency. She updated her resume, researched the positions, made Lucas's favorite lasagna. When he arrived at 7, Urside, she held out a glass of wine. "They're downsizing," she said. "My position was eliminated." Lucas didn't take the glass. "What about severance?" he asked, his expression hard. 3 months. "Plus vacation," she replied. "With your promotion, not ideal timing." He cut her off, laughing harshly. The argument escalated. "I can't believe your selfishness," he snapped, grabbing his keys. He didn't return until midnight. The next morning, Lucas was distant. Heather presented a financial plan. With my severance and savings, we can maintain everything for 6 months. He interrupted, pulling out his phone. The account balance showed $1. This is what to shut. Where's our money? She asked. Alarm rising. Safe, he said coldly. Where you can't access it. He drained their savings. You had no right. She began. I earned most of it. He shot back. You're a burden now. I'm not carrying dead weight. What about Emma's college fund? She asked, her voice steady despite Emma being upstairs. Don't touch it, he warned, leaving again. That night, Heather sat at the kitchen table until dawn, betrayal turning to cold anger. She searched his desk. Credit card bills showed dinners. Hotel charge. A. Jewelry purchase. None for her. Text messages on his iPad revealed Megan. A woman sending hearts, complaining he hadn't left Heather yet. She photographed everything, each image a brick in her foundation. She told Emma her father was on a business trip, ordered pizza, watched a movie, braided her hair. Is everything okay? Mom, Emma asked, her 14-year-old eyes wise. Everything will be, Heather promised. Heather made 3 calls to her grandmother's lawyer, her friend Kate, who'd always disliked Lucas, and her cousin Thomas. On the local contractors association board, she removed her wedding ring, placing it on Lucas's pillow, and checked her secret account. 5 years into their marriage, her grandmother Rose had given her a house and land. Tell no one, Rosa had said, kneeling in her garden. Not your mother, not your cousins, especially not Lucas. A woman should always have something that's hers alone. The property, on the edge of town, grew in value as Tacoma expanded. When Rose passed, Heather kept it in her name, renting it out, depositing the income into a separate account. Each payday, she transferred small amounts, $50, $100. Nothing Lucas would notice. He'd mocked her caution once, always hiding money in your purse. So paranoid, she'd smiled, saying it was for emergencies. Now, she whispered to the empty room. Who's the burden now, sweetheart? Allowing herself a sharp smile. Morning revealed Lucas's attempted withdrawals from Emma's college fund. Rejected, requiring dual authorization. She called the investment firm, flagging the account for security. She called Thomas, learning Lucas's professional facade was cracking. Unfulfilled promises, questionable billing, an 8-month affair with Megan. I need names, Heather said. Everyone he does business with. Thomas hesitated. What are you planning? Nothing illegal, she assured him. Just opening my eyes. By noon, she had a list of contacts and Megan's profiles. A woman 10 years younger, posting about deserving better. When Lucas arrived to collect his things, Heather was calm. Emma will be home at 4, she said. I'd prefer you be gone by then. I have a right to see my daughter. He bristled. We'll set up a schedule once you have a stable living situation, she replied, handing him the 529 statement. And once you explain why you tried to steal her college fund. His face paled. That's not. Save it for the mediator. She cut him off. Your things are in the guest room. An email pinged. A developer increased their offer on Rose's property. Where am I supposed to go? Lucas demanded. Isn't that Megan's department now? She asked. His shock confirmed he hadn't planned for this. The next day, Heather launched Blackwood Marketing Solutions, securing a loan with Rose's property. She rented an office downtown, visible from Lucas's window, the sign in black and silver catching the afternoon light. She targeted Davidson Builders architectural firms, starting with Jenny Hargrove of Hargrove Designs, who'd always been cool toward Lucas. Your husband's been undercutting my bids for years, Jenny confided. Ex-husband, Heather corrected. Presenting a marketing strategy, highlighting sustainable practices, Lucas had dismissed. Jenny signed that day. Within 3 weeks, Heather secured 2 more clients. Her knowledge of the industry, gleaned from years of listening to Lucas, proving invaluable. At the Greenery, an upscale restaurant, Lucas saw her with Jenny. His double take subtle but unmistakable. Lucas. Heather nodded as he passed with a client. Jenny and I were discussing her Riverside Drive project. Riverside Drive was a development Lucas had pursued for months. I wasn't aware you two knew each other, he said. His smile strained. We're working together now, Jenny replied. Your ex has quite the marketing mind. Heather handed the client her card. Heather Blackwood. My firm specializes in architecture and construction marketing. Lucas's jaw tightened. His text. 30 minutes later, read. What the hell do you think you're doing? She didn't reply. Lucas's financial situation deteriorated. Thomas reported high interest loans, missed payments, borrowing from business accounts. Credit card statements show desperate spending. Expensive restaurants, jewelry for Megan, weekend getaways. He bought her a watch worth 2 mortgage payments. Emma said, scrolling through Megan's Instagram. Real subtle. Dead. Heather shielded Emma from the ugliest details, explaining the financial betrayal, but not the affair. He took our savings without talking to me. She'd said, marriage needs trust. He's trying to prove something. Emma observed. He's scared, right? People show their true selves under pressure. Heather replied. The collapse came at Davidson Builders' autumn event. Lucas, with Megan in an extravagant dress, had his car declined at the bar. Heather watched from across the room. The fumbling, Megan's confusion, their whispered argument. By the time she reached their side, Megan was gone. Everything all right? She asked. Perfect. Lucas lead. His tone sharp. Emma mentioned you might be coming to her science fair. I can't make it. He said, something with the Westbrook project. That's strange. She replied. I had lunch with Philip Westbrook yesterday. He said it's on hold until spring. His realization that she now had direct relationships with his clients shook him. 2 days later, Megan posted a rant about men who promise the world but can't afford the rent, ending their relationship. Lucas's reputation crumbled. His absences from events were noticed, excuses questioned, board seats quietly filled. 3 months after their separation, Blackwood Marketing Solutions grew to a team of 4. A graphic designer, a social media expert, a former Davidson employee as office manager. They moved to a larger office with a corner view. Thomas called. Lucas had used falsified documents for a speculative project, leveraging everything. His condo, personal loans, questionable lenders. He was trying to create a financial comeback after Megan left. Thomas said this project was his redemption. That evening, a credit alert showed Lucas attempting to open a card using Heather's information. Denied due to her fraud alert. He took me to Burger King. Emma remarked his card was acting weird. So we went somewhere cheap. He asked a lot about you, the business. If we're doing okay financially. I didn't tell him anything, she added. Heather hugged her, pride swelling. He's not the person I thought he was. Emma said, I feel sorry for him. Lucas's name appeared in the local paper. Financial improprieties at Davidson Builders. His departure. Involuntary. 2 days later, he appeared in her lobby. Tell him I'll be down in 5 minutes. Heather told the receptionist, finishing an email, touching up her lipstick. In the lobby, Lucas looked unkempt, wrinkled shirt, messy hair. Confidence gone. Let's walk, she suggested, leading him to a park. They sat on a bench. I need your help, he said. The words pained. Financial. Temporary. Until I get back on my feet. Why would I do that? She asked, her voice neutral. Because we were married for 15 years, he replied, entitlement creeping in. Because we have a daughter. Because it's the right thing. She watched a mother push a toddler on a swing. Do you remember what you said after I lost my job? She asked. When you drained our account and left me with nothing. His gaze dropped. I was under pressure. You called me a burden. She continued. You said you wouldn't carry dead weight. You'd been thinking it for years. That I was less valuable because I stepped back to support you. He didn't deny it. I'm not going to help you. Lucas, she said quietly. Not financially. Not professionally. Not in any way that enables you to avoid your choices. Then why did you see me? He asked, frustration etching his voice. She smiled, feeling closure. To see your face when you realize the tables have turned. She stood, smoothing her skirt. Who's the burden now? Sweetheart. His face registered the hit. His own words echoing back. What am I supposed to do? He asked, fear cracking through. The same thing you expected me to do. She replied, start over. Learn to stand on your own. That evening, Heather and Emma sat on their porch, watching fireflies. She told Emma about Lucas's visit. Are you okay? Emma asked, her young face serious. I am, Heather said, the truth settling deep. Better than I've been in a long time. Will Dad be okay? Emma asked. Eventually, Heather replied. When he learns his value doesn't depend on appearances. I hope he figures it out. Emma said. The phone rang. A new client referred by Jenny. Heather caught her reflection in the window. A woman, standing tall, unburdened by diminished expectations, no longer supporting someone else's dreams at her own expense. A force to be reckoned with. Heather's story shows what happens when betrayal reveals your true strength. Called a burden, she turned her husband's cruelty into her greatest triumph, rebuilding her life while his crumbled. Sometimes, the harshest words spark the fiercest comebacks. What do you think? Should Heather have helped Lucas? Or was her refusal the ultimate justice? Have you ever turned a betrayal into a new beginning? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. These stories connect us, showing us we're not alone in our struggles. If you enjoyed this day, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you want more stories like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out. I'm here every day with new tales from Reddit and beyond, so stick around. See you next time.